An angel with long, curly blonde hair and a magnificent white cloak declared a new concept. Region unification, the unification of regions. Her face clearly showed a hint of excitement. A brown-haired young man with a bandage on his hand anxiously raised his hand and asked, "Ms. Angel, please explain more clearly what region unification means." The angel looked annoyed and replied sarcastically that they should have understood right away from the name. Unification simply means the regions will be merged. She continued to explain that their country has hundreds of regions, a number many had never realized before. The angel revealed precisely, their country has 875 regions. Everyone was extremely shocked by such a large number. The angel laughed mockingly, saying that compared to other countries, that number was still low. The brown-haired young man analyzed, if each region has about 10,000 people, then more populous countries would have more regions. Then he paused thoughtfully, if each region had an angel. A group of people behind confirmed in unison. So there are thousands of angels. They began to panic at the true scale of this system. The angel smiled and confirmed. Just as they guessed, each region has an angel in charge. Then she sarcastically called them fools for only realizing that now. A black-haired young man accompanying his friend spoke up. Ms. Angel, so does that mean you are not the creator of this death game? The question caused the atmosphere to freeze. The angel remained silent for a moment, lips slightly pressed, wary when unexpectedly questioned. A young man wearing a gray scarf anxiously reasoned, there cannot be tens of thousands of angels just to operate a death game. The angel immediately rushed forward, exerting pressure with a fierce beam of light, striking down like thunder before the young man. The angel's face came close, eyes flashing. He sarcastically asked back, "What if we really did want to congratulate us?" His tone gradually turned threatening. The pressure from the angel made the young man panic, trembling as he bowed his head, apologizing. "I am sorry." The angel folded her wings, descending with a contemptuous attitude. Her gaze swept over him as if he were an inferior creature. He collapsed to the ground, gasping in fear. A voice echoed in the main character's mind, Black Scythe, who was observing from afar. He realized the angel's discomfort was a sign that he had just touched a taboo. The architect, the creator of the game. Black Scythe continued reasoning. It's impossible that the angels, beings who can be killed by players, are behind such a massive game system. The angel's anger reached its peak. He loudly declared he would not accept any more questions from vermin, ordering everyone to focus solely on survival. The angel turned away in disappointment, thinking he had wasted his time. He declared, "The regions will be unified because too few people survived, the root cause of everything." The blonde angel coldly reminded, "Don't make unnecessary assumptions," as if shutting down all human doubts. The ground shook violently, causing all players to panic. A young man shouted, "Is it an earthquake?" From the horizon, gigantic walls of energy flared up and began rising from the ground, surrounding the regions. The glowing fence filled the horizon. A fierce roar spread through the air as the divided regions trembled. A series of massive structures rose like boundary markers, while thousands of players watched in confusion. A group of players stood dazed. Some collapsed, others screamed. Horror engulfed them as the new reality began to form. From above, energy fences enveloped each group of players. The land beneath their feet began to separate and rotate. The zoning system was operating, dividing hundreds of regions into giant glowing cubes dazzlingly bright. A fierce light burst out, enveloping the entire region. The players stood still, as if being transported to another place. The cubes were spinning and moving vigorously. Shadows of people were drawn into each cube. The region unification process had officially begun. The blonde angel, the system's representative, warned humans not to speculate. She radiated intense authority, golden light piercing across the sky. The ground suddenly shook violently. Players panicked as they saw orange-red light tearing through the atmosphere, an earthquake unlike any normal one. Giant golden cubes simultaneously rose from the ground, shaking as if the universe was being restructured. A series of glowing cracks spread out, energy walls erected between regions, dividing and reshaping the new space. The glowing wall covered the entire terrain, leaving players only able to watch in terror. Everything blazed fiercely, fire and chaotic energy swirling around the players trapped inside the new subdivisions. Players trembled in panic, no one understanding what was happening, a feeling of being surrounded by a power beyond comprehension. As the light gradually subsided, the surviving players stood between the new boundaries, stunned and unsure of what had just occurred. A black-haired player, wearing a gray cloak, noticed many new players had appeared. These came from other regions. Next to him was a blonde young man wearing a white cloak. The blonde angel announced that the region unification process was complete. She coldly declared 10 regions had been merged into one, with only 4,844 survivors remaining. Before the unification event, survivors were shocked to learn that a total of 10 regions had been merged. A young man was confused, while a brown-haired girl solemnly admitted the number of people was indeed very large. The blonde angel confirmed that other regions were also undergoing unification due to too few survivors. The names of the regions would also be changed after unification. The angel declared the new region's name as CESKS-007, including all players from South Korea. Everyone sighed in relief, knowing at least they could still communicate in the same language. However, Black Scythe, the young man in a black cloak, coldly predicted that this unification would continue. Once the number of players dropped below 500, regions would continue to be merged. A grim premonition appeared. When fewer than 500 South Koreans remained, they would have to face players from other countries. The faces of potential opponents appeared fierce, multi-ethnic, equipped with combat weapons. Black Scythe silently observed the crowd. He calculated this would happen in round 11. For now, the important thing was to focus on the current situation. Angels appeared in midair, shining brightly. One angel announced they were about to declare a side game, a reward for the region unification event. The chief angel continued. Before issuing the main mission, a reward game would be held as a celebration for the unification of the regions. Amid the chaotic atmosphere, a player asked, if previously each region had a representative, now that they are unified, what should be done next? The angel affirmed, a new representative must be chosen for the new region. The announcement stunned everyone. A young man, startled, repeated, a new representative? Meanwhile, Black Scythe stood behind, silently observing, his eyes expressionless. An angel raised a hand to signal and began announcing the rules. A cold voice rang out, the game is very simple. The angel continued explaining. 10 representatives from the 10 old regions must fight to the death. The last survivor will become the leader of the unified region. Players below murmured excitedly. Some felt it was cruel, others were amused. Some remained indifferent, treating it like an entertainment show. A man angrily saw others not having to fight yet showing joy. He gritted his teeth, venting his anger at the injustice of the game. A girl with her hair tied high showed fear. She couldn't believe they had to kill each other just to choose a single person. A light brown-haired man, clearly a region leader, muttered regretfully. He didn't expect that becoming a representative would lead to such harsh consequences. A young man wearing silver armor, also a region leader, spoke anxiously, hoping that if he died, he could be resurrected like before. Many region leaders appeared confused and discouraged. The light brown-haired man continued complaining, wishing he could give up the position without fighting. Among the crowd, Ryu Min, Black Scythe, stood silently. He realized this time the region leader position would bring real benefits. In his heart, he resolved he must win and become the unified representative. The angel reassured the players, telling them not to worry too much. The death match was only a formality. After the match ended, the killed region leaders would be resurrected. One of the region leaders with brown hair felt relieved upon hearing that those who died in the battle would be resurrected. He smiled as if a burden had been lifted. A black-haired player with a bandaged arm pondered deeply, unable to hide his anxiety about the upcoming battle. The blonde angel noticed everyone's worried faces and immediately announced the benefits of becoming the unified region leader. That person would possess dominion instead of command. Dominion allows the new region leader to control any player of a lower level without affecting their leveling progress. It is a powerful upgraded version. The angel added a condition. This power is limited to 10 uses, and if someone kills the person holding it, they can take it for themselves. The blonde angel smiled slyly, teasing humans with sarcastic words. Isn't it great to dominate your own kind? Two different players were stunned as they realized. As long as others are lower level, they can be absolutely controlled. The brown-haired region leader felt excited hearing that level does not affect the ability to control players, causing him to laugh with cunning intent. The blonde angel noticed the atmosphere had changed. Everyone was now enchanted by power. She declared the bonus game was about to begin. An orange-haired angel suggested, since regions have been unified, a guide representative should be chosen. However, when asked to volunteer, all angels remained silent. No one raised their hand to take responsibility. An orange-haired angel with braided hair sighed in disappointment as none of the angels volunteered to be the guide. She thought that anyone who volunteered would become an outcast. A purple-haired angel confirmed that no one wanted to take on the guide role. She began asking the remaining angels if they had any ideas to solve this problem. One angel proposed a simple method: roll dice to decide who would take the role. The braided orange-haired angel responded that this was not bad but too boring. Another angel suggested they could make a list and take turns being the guide. However, one angel opposed this, arguing that those at the end of the list might never have to fulfill the responsibility. An angel asked if there was a fairer and more interesting solution, while everyone continued thinking. The long red-haired angel, Priscilla, spoke up with a new proposal. She emphasized that the regions had just been unified and the representatives would soon start fighting. Priscilla proposed that the angel responsible for the first human death in the battle would be punished by becoming the guide. The angels reacted positively to Priscilla's idea. One said, "Sounds interesting." Another agreed it was a good idea. A number of angels raised their hands in agreement with the proposal. They all agreed on Priscilla's plan. Just as everyone nearly reached consensus, an angel suddenly interrupted. "Wait, why don't we do it this way instead?" The new angel continued with an alternative proposal. "Instead of punishing the one whose human died first, give glory to the one whose human survives last. The angel representing that person will become the king of the angels." An angel proposed that instead of punishing the first player to die, the focus should be on the last survivor. The angel with the last survivor will be crowned king, a reward instead of a punishment. Olive smiled confidently, emphasizing that the angel with the last survivor would become the king of the group. A red-haired angel, name unknown, was amazed by the concept of a king. Olive explained that the remaining angels would have to obey every command of the king. She gave an example. If the king appoints someone as a guide, that person must obey because it is the king's will. The angels realized that if their representative won, they would also be made king. This idea began to spark their curiosity and excitement. The whole group showed enthusiasm for the new game. Another angel praised Olive for this bold and interesting proposal. The red-haired angel despised Olive, thinking she was too confident to dare propose such a rule. Olive calmly confirmed her confidence. The red-haired angel was proud because her player had never dropped from first place in the region. She believed victory would be hers. Olive sneered, looking down on that pride. She thought to herself that if the opponent knew who her regional representative was, they would surely collapse from shock. After agreeing on the new rules, an angel spoke up and appointed Olive, the blonde angel, to be responsible for delivering the announcement to all humans. Olive did not hesitate to accept the order, flew into the air, and began announcing loudly with a voice echoing across the fiery red sky. Olive declared the opening of the reward game, a life-or-death battle to select the sole representative of the unified region. Olive requested the surviving district leaders to step forward immediately. Below, the district leaders began gathering anxiously and cautiously. A blonde district leader, dressed in white, stepped forward with a confident look. Behind him, other district leaders gradually appeared. A brown-haired female district leader, wearing a gray cloak, stepped out with two other male district leaders. The atmosphere gradually became tense. Ryu Min, a black-haired district leader with blazing red eyes, appeared. His calm and majestic demeanor drew attention from those around him. All surviving district leaders gathered in a circle. Each wore a different expression, confident, worried, or arrogant. Olive landed and raised her hand to initiate the game. The heavy atmosphere suddenly seemed torn apart by a powerful energy source. Immediately, the district leaders were transported into a separate area where the battle would take place. The crowd outside could only watch as flickering red light covered the arena. A giant fiery arena suddenly rose up surrounding the district leaders, completely isolating them under the gaze of thousands of players. With a fierce roar, the entire arena rotated and lifted off the ground like a machine summoned from the divine, signaling the start of the deadly battle. The district leaders, unprepared, were transported into the arena. Chaos spread, their eyes reflecting surprise and caution. Angel Olive, smiling brightly, declared, "This is a death match. Only the last survivor will be recognized as the unified region's district leader." She emphasized, "Anyone who dies outside the arena will not be resurrected. Death now is not just elimination, but permanent end." The atmosphere grew suffocating as the district leaders took battle stances. Black Scythe activated his death blade, energy light pouring intensely from his weapon. A muscular district leader showed excitement. He grinned fiercely and stepped toward an opponent defending with a spear. The brown-cloaked young man, an ambitious district leader, thought silently. Just kill the other 9 and he would become king. A blonde district leader watched carefully. Beside him were 2 girls, a black-haired archer and a mage in a cloak. No one rushed to attack. The brown-cloaked district leader sneered quietly. To him, no one here was a worthy opponent. Blind faith in his own strength might be the start of a tragedy. A giant arena area was formed, surrounded by fire and bright light, isolating the district leaders from the surrounding crowd. The deadly game officially began. The arena floor tilted sharply upward, causing the district leaders to stagger. Red magical symbols appeared, creating a separate battlefield. The district leaders began to calm down in the strange setting. The brown-haired young man, the new district leader, glanced at the opponents around him with disdain. The blonde angel with a cold smile declared, "The death match begins. Only one will survive." She emphasized further, "Anyone who leaves the arena will die permanently with no resurrection. The rules are clear, survive or be erased." Black Scythe, Olive's district leader, stood in the center of the arena. The other district leaders took defensive stances, their weapons glowing. The battle was about to erupt. The arrogant brown-haired district leader smiled, assessing the situation. He calculated, just kill 9 people and he would become king. Although no one attacked initially, everyone kept their distance. The brown-haired man concluded, "Everyone here is a district leader, meaning they have certain abilities, but no one is stronger than him." He confidently asserted he had never lost first place since the game began. With the dismantling rune, a powerful rune, he had killed 312 people in just 4 rounds. This rune allowed the sword to automatically tear enemies apart upon stabbing. The brown-haired man mercilessly stabbed another player, starting the massacre with a cold smile. Black Scythe coldly stepped toward the center, holding his scythe. The other warriors watched with suspicious eyes. The black-cloaked young man stopped, casting a sharp gaze at the challenger, unshaken by the tense atmosphere. The brown-haired district leader, confident in the dismantling rune, smiled triumphantly, thinking Black Scythe was his first offering. But soon after, he began to doubt. The scythe was too large, causing him to mutter, could it be a rare weapon? He tried to calm himself by thinking of the name, Scythe, assuming it was just a coincidence with the nickname. But he had never met anyone who actually used a scythe. The name Black Scythe appeared above the black-cloaked young man. Everyone present recognized the significance of that name. The brown-haired district leader immediately paled. He stammered, "B Black Scythe is that him?" Trying to reassure himself, he whispered, "It must be a namesake, right?" But then quickly rejected it. "No, nicknames can't be the same." His hand trembled. The sword drooped as he admitted to himself, "Then that person is." Black Scythe stepped forward, his black cloak swirling with fierce red energy. Everyone was shocked. He was the #1 district leader in the entire region, level 30. The angels watching from above appeared confused, seeing a human, the previously confident district leader, now stunned and trembling. One angel wondered, what happened to that human? Another angel pointed out that the trembling one was the district leader of Angel Priscilla. Priscilla, the red-haired angel, was speechless, her face showing clear worry. Priscilla gritted her teeth in anger. She didn't understand why her district leader was motionless like that in front of the opponent. Priscilla shouted inwardly, "Why are you still standing there?" Below, the district leader remained unmoving, facing Black Scythe as if hypnotized. One of the other angels, Olive, with braided blonde hair, laughed amusedly at Priscilla's district leader's reaction. Priscilla turned angrily and questioned, "What are you laughing at, Olive?" She couldn't accept being mocked. Olive replied nonchalantly with a proud smile, "Sorry, but this really looks funny." Olive pointed at Black Scythe below. "Look, my district leader hasn't done anything yet, but yours is already trembling like a blade of grass." Priscilla silently admitted. Black Scythe's scythe was indeed impressive, but she didn't sense any killing intent strong enough to frighten her district leader so much. Olive teased, "You mean your district leader is frozen because of mine?" Priscilla angrily replied, "Isn't that so?" Red-haired angel Priscilla angrily retorted to Olive, asserting that her district always led from the first round, and her representative had never been dethroned. Olive sarcastically said that leading a district was not something to be proud of, because her representative had always held the #1 position across the entire realm from the start. Olive's assertion shocked many other angels. Some expressed doubt, while Olive reminded them to look back at the leaderboard. That name was too prominent to be missed. The angels were stunned upon hearing the name, Black Scythe. One angel confirmed having seen this name appear multiple times whenever the leaderboard showed up. Priscilla was stunned and fearfully exclaimed that if it was truly Black Scythe, then her representative could not possibly be a match. Another angel gasped in shock. Meanwhile, below, Black Scythe swung his scythe, cutting through Priscilla's district representative, a brown-haired young man who had been arrogant moments before. Blood splattered everywhere. Priscilla's representative's body collapsed at Black Scythe's feet. The battle ended in a single strike. Olive coldly declared that Priscilla had been eliminated. Priscilla silently bowed her head, having nothing left to say. The contestants outside also began to recognize the identity of the black-cloaked figure. One person fearfully exclaimed, "Black Scythe." The entire arena trembled. A question echoed through the crowd, "Why is Black Scythe here?" Fear gradually spreading in everyone's eyes. A panicked player bitterly admitted the truth. Even if they all joined forces, they could not defeat Black Scythe. He was only level 13, while the enemy was level 30, an insurmountable gap. Black Scythe stepped forward silently, carrying a deadly aura. The brown-haired player in white armor trembled as he looked at him, horrified by the overwhelming power. The brown-haired young man tried to force a smile and greeted Black Scythe, flattering him while pretending to be happy to be in the same region as the strongest. His eyes revealed fear despite the forced smile. Black Scythe did not respond. The silence made the group even tenser. The brown-haired player grew more flustered, and the black-haired girl behind him also hesitated to approach. The black-haired girl hurriedly raised her hands, dropping her weapon. She tried to smile, but her eyes clearly showed fear. They hoped that surrendering would save their lives. The remaining players immediately raised their hands to surrender as well. They collectively pleaded with the angels to allow them to withdraw, hoping to escape the death match with Black Scythe. A silver-haired angel and a blonde angel showed contempt at the chaotic scene. They could not believe humans were so weak and disappointing. A purple-haired angel with yellow eyes angrily declared that anyone mentioning surrender would have their heads blown off. There was no mercy in their game rules. The purple-haired angel continued to threat that anyone killed for surrendering would not be resurrected. Fear engulfed all the players below. The black-haired girl withdrew her bow, trembling as she looked up at the sky. She knew that now even the chance of survival had turned into a bloody game decided by the angels. Amid the tense situation, a group of 8 players gathered. One of them reassured that with their current numbers, they could defeat Black Scythe. However, the worried expressions on their faces reflected their unease. Black Scythe observed the players' reactions. He was surprised to realize they feared the angels more than him. From his sharp gaze, he guessed they were preparing to launch a coordinated attack. Black Scythe smiled faintly. Deep down, he regarded them as mere ants. No matter how hard they tried, they were still ants beneath his feet. With a cold gaze, he was ready to retaliate. The group of players grew angry seeing Black Scythe's mocking smile. One shouted loudly that even though he was high level, they were recognized rankers in the region. The whole group tensed, ready to charge into battle. As soon as the battle began, Black Scythe struck first. He spun around, launching a counterattack with terrifying speed and power. In an instant, blood stained the battlefield, a clear testament to the absolute disparity between the sides. Black Scythe began the battle with a powerful slash, causing the ground to crack under the tremendous pressure of the scythe. With blazing red eyes and a cold expression, Black Scythe swung his magical weapon, unleashing a fierce red-black killing wave. A blazing red death storm engulfed the battlefield, sweeping away the players in a deadly whirlpool before anyone could react. A brown-haired girl and 3 other players stood stunned, witnessing the massacre. Panic was clearly visible on their faces. Black Scythe continued to charge forward, swinging his blood-soaked scythe across all 4 players. Blood splattered everywhere, ending their lives instantly. The young man in a gray robe with wristbands failed to dodge in time and was pierced straight through by the scythe. The whole group collapsed under overwhelming power. Black Scythe spun around, finishing the perfect attack. Around him were only corpses and blood staining the battlefield floor. Above, the angels silently observed. Their eyes shifted from curiosity to surprise as they witnessed the swift outcome. A black-haired angel with braided hair exclaimed in shock, not expecting the battle to end so easily. She murmured, "Black Scythe won already." According to the game rules, the angel responsible for the winner would be considered the king. The other angels looked at Olive, the angel representing Black Scythe, with resentment. Among them, Priscilla shouted angrily, "Olive!" Priscilla angrily rushed at Olive, questioning her for knowing the result beforehand. Olive calmly confirmed it as if it were obvious. Priscilla shouted with hatred, accusing Olive of deliberately deceiving everyone. She believed Olive had rigged the game to win. Olive remained unfazed. She responded sarcastically, saying gaining an advantage was natural when proposing the game. Olive coldly explained that no one was forced to participate. All angels agreed because they thought it was interesting. Now it was too late to blame anyone. Priscilla was furious but could not argue back. Olive mocked her, challenging her to fight in front of humans. Olive warned that if the Archangel found out about 2 angels fighting in front of humans, Priscilla would be thrown into the insect bag. Hearing insect bag, Priscilla immediately became fearful. Images of that terrifying punishment place, a place full of horrifying creatures, appeared in her mind. Olive continued to mock, asking if Priscilla still dared to fight. She concluded, since Black Scythe won, she was the current king. Priscilla was assigned the temporary role of guide for the unified area, while Olive held the role of king. When Priscilla cautiously asked how long that role would last, Olive coldly replied, "Until I feel better." Then she ordered, "Do your work." Priscilla flew away from the group of angels with a resentful look. In her heart, she blamed herself for agreeing to the bet that caused her loss. Olive, the blonde angel with braided hair, officially announced to humans that the representative of the unified area had been chosen. The winner was none other than Black Scythe, now standing in the middle of the battlefield with a red scythe in hand, establishing his position as representative of Area CESK 007. A notification appeared. Black Scythe received the temporary skill Dominion, allowing him to issue commands that other players cannot resist unless they are of a higher level. A player observing from afar thought silently. At level 30, Black Scythe can command anyone, and he should soon side with him to stay safe. Priscilla reappeared, declaring that now the winner had been confirmed and the players defeated earlier would be revived. Golden light from angel wings shone down on the ground, reviving numerous players who had fallen at Black Scythe's hands in the recent battle. A brown-haired player wearing light armor and a red cloak was the first to revive. He jumped up in panic, shouting, ACK. A female player with her hair tied up tightly hugged herself in panic, asking what had just happened. Another player confirmed that he clearly remembered the feeling of being slashed to death. Priscilla coldly confirmed they had all lost the match. The new representative for the unified area was Black Scythe, the one who defeated them in an instant. The players gradually regained consciousness after being revived. They were astonished as they recalled the moment their bodies were slashed. Above, the angel Priscilla announced that since a new representative had been chosen, the powers that previous representatives had over revived players would be revoked. Priscilla continued, despite the defeat, the players still had a chance to reclaim the representative position in the future. Priscilla declared the end of the side game. She would guide them to start the official mission. All players received mission notifications, with golden light from the system board appearing simultaneously around them. The level 5 mission board appeared. Main mission: eliminate 300 orcs within 10 hours. Side mission: collect 4 balance stones. The entire world still had over 77 million people, but only about 19 million had passed. Area C ESK007 had 4,844 people, with only 1,211 having passed the previous round. A brown-haired player wearing light armor exclaimed in shock at the harsh requirement. The person beside him, a young man in a black and white sleeveless shirt, was also surprised by the survival rate being only a quarter. Priscilla was annoyed by their complaints, mocking them and implying she would reduce the survival rate further if they were unhappy. Faced with the warning, the two players quickly bowed their heads, showing remorse. Tension enveloped the group. Priscilla emphasized previous rounds were just lenient. This round would be harsher with survival thresholds drastically lowered. Still, she tried to encourage them. Don't be too discouraged. A brown-haired girl wearing a short dress and cloak looked sideways with worry. Next to her, another girl in tight black and purple attire questioned, "Is killing 300 orcs difficult?" She doubted it since orcs in the game were usually low-level monsters. The brown-haired young man in black and white, looking uneasy, asked the angel about the side mission and the mysterious reward. Another player was also confused because the reward was only a question mark. The red-haired angel in charge of the area explained. This side mission was no longer hidden like before, but the reward remained a secret. Black Scythe silently observed, his red eyes gleaming with thought. He whispered, "A great mystery." He continued his monologue. The reward was actually the balance rune, one of 18 runes he was forced to collect. However, this rune was only given to one person in each area. Black Scythe knew well, even if the side mission was completed, players had to meet special conditions to receive the rune. Very few could achieve that. The red-haired angel announced, to receive the reward, players must collect all 4 balance stones. Once completed, the reward would be immediately granted, but only one person could receive it. The angel further revealed there were only 4 stones in the current area. That meant only one person had a chance to succeed, causing many players to become even more confused. A short brown-haired male player wearing a red scarf anxiously asked, "What if no one can collect all 4 stones? Wouldn't the mission fail?" The angel smiled sarcastically, reassuring with implication. Players could steal stones from each other by killing. The brown-haired player in light armor was surprised to learn that balanced stones could be stolen by killing others, comparing it to stealing the position of area leader. The red-haired angel confirmed players could only steal balanced stones, other items were unaffected. She emphasized, if you die this time, there would be no revival. Death meant the end. Black Scythe silently made his decision. He would quickly kill 300 orcs to set a record, then help Min Jury. Without hesitation, Black Scythe immediately charged forward amid the astonished eyes of the crowd who parted to make way. He appeared in the red dirt field, stepping toward the players watching anxiously. No one dared to block his path. Black Scythe silently walked past, leaving behind a group of players standing still like statues, no one daring to utter a word. When Black Scythe left, the group breathed a sigh of relief. A few whispered that they had thought they were about to die when he approached. A black-haired player wearing a cloak curiously watched Black Scythe, hesitantly asking, "Where is he going? Should we follow him?" A muscular young man in a sleeveless shirt shouted angrily, "Are you crazy? Follow Black Scythe. Want to be controlled for life." He warned with a contemptuous tone. If you follow him, you will become his slave forever. Ryuman's close friend turned to argue with the hesitant group, saying action was better than standing still. He emphasized that Black Scythe was always the first to move, and that was why he always ranked first. The young man in the reddish-brown shirt silently pondered, while the muscular man showed obvious irritation upon hearing praise for Black Scythe. One person in the group worried about being discovered if they followed Black Scythe, but Ryuman's close friend reassured them, just follow from a distance. Ryuman's close friend decisively left alone, saying that if anyone didn't want to come, they could stay behind. He would follow Black Scythe by himself. The remaining group stood silently watching him leave, no one daring to stop him. Among them, the brown-haired girl and the muscular man looked tense. The muscular man and the young man in the reddish-brown shirt showed clear awkwardness, hesitating over the decision to go or stay. Though no one said anything further, the atmosphere in the group grew heavy. They began considering following Black Scythe, though fear was still evident on their faces. A small orc village appeared amidst the blazing red forest. In the village yard, a few orcs were going about their usual activities around the campfire, unaware of the impending danger. From within the forest, Black Scythe, also known as Kim In-hung, appeared silently, his gaze cold. An orc guard at the gate just spotted him. From afar, a group of players were watching Black Scythe. Ryuman's close friend and teammates like the brown-haired girl, the muscular guy, were all shocked to see him enter the orc village. They realized Black Scythe acted without hesitation. The orc gatekeeper screamed and charged forward with fiery red eyes full of rage. He was completely provoked by Black Scythe's presence. Unfazed, Black Scythe lunged forward, his eyes shining brightly like the scythe of death about to strike. The orc continued to charge, roaring fiercely, but his face began to distort with panic when facing overwhelming power. Black Scythe swung his scythe, delivering a deadly blow. The blazing red slash cut through the air, blood splattering everywhere, a merciless finishing strike. He stepped forward calmly, leaving the orc corpse behind. His movements were decisive, without hesitation, causing the ground to tremble with each step. The orc's body hung dangling from the village gate. Black Scythe had completely broken through the defense line and stepped straight into enemy territory. From inside, 3 other orcs who saw him immediately stood up in horror. Black Scythe said nothing, just stared straight ahead, signaling an impending massacre. 3 orcs were roasting meat and preparing a meal, surrounded by raw meat and a bowl crawling with maggots. The seemingly peaceful atmosphere was suddenly shattered by a piercing scream. The orc wielding a large knife led the trio, charging fiercely at Black Scythe, but he maintained his defense firmly, unshaken. With an extremely fast slash, Black Scythe unleashed a skill that cut through the lead orc's body, decapitating him, blood spraying everywhere. The powerful and precise slash tore the enemy's body apart. Black Scythe continued moving like a deadly wind. Black Scythe's eyes were sharp and filled with murderous intent. He raised his scythe, ready to finish off the remaining foes. The 2 remaining orcs screamed wildly, charging at him relentlessly. But Black Scythe stood firm, a demonic red glow surrounding his scythe. He spun around, sweeping his scythe in a blazing red arc through the air, preparing for the next strike. Black Scythe spun powerfully, delivering a vertical slash with destructive force. Blood from the enemies painted a fiery red spiral in the air. 2 orc bodies collapsed right before his steps. Black Scythe silently walked past, not even glancing back at the fallen foes. He approached the largest hut in the village, still gripping his weapon tightly. Before a blood-stained curtain, Black Scythe prepared to enter what might be the orc's center. A series of blazing red slashes tore through the air, ripping apart the silent night in the orc village. The atmosphere grew suffocating with the presence of deadly intent. Black Scythe emerged from the largest hut after eliminating all enemies. His posture was proud, still clutching his blood-stained scythe. From afar, the group of players hiding in the forest watched the scene. They fell silent seeing Black Scythe standing at the village gate with orc corpses scattered at his feet. One person in the group sighed in relief, thinking the orcs were not strong. Another compared them to gnolls from before, but someone reminded them everything seemed easy only because the fighter was Black Scythe. A player spoke up to warn the group not to be overconfident. Another agreed and suggested finding another village to destroy, just like Black Scythe had done. A gray-haired figure wearing a hooded cloak, his face sinister, eyes full of scheming. He thought to himself to follow this group to profit while appearing friendly. Another player, muscular, sleeveless shirt, hooded, harbored a similar scheme. He decided to wait behind, striking when the chance arose to kill the weakest. For him, the more meat shields, the better. A brown-haired player wearing leather armor and a red scarf suddenly woke up in a panic. He screamed in the open space with eyes full of terror. Shortly after, a girl with long hair tied high also woke up, bewildered, asking what was happening. Another brown-haired man checked his body and confirmed he had been slashed. A brown-haired young man in light armor stepped forward confused, trying to understand the new mission. Beside him was a black-haired friend in a sleeveless shirt. Both were horrified at how few survivors remain. A young man in light armor stood frozen in the village square, astonished upon hearing the new mission announced. Behind him was his black-haired companion. Both were still in shock. A red-haired angel with cold, yellow eyes appeared in midair, declaring the main mission, to eliminate all orcs within 3 days. She continued, specifying the side mission to defeat the orc warrior for a reward. The entire group of players was shaken by this challenge. A group of orcs suddenly appeared behind the forest canopy. The brown-haired player shouted upon spotting another orc village, much larger than the previous one. Inside the village, an orc guard spotted the players. He immediately raised his horn to his lips and blew a loud warning to the entire camp. The rumbling sound echoed everywhere. From the huts, dozens of orcs simultaneously poured out, ready to charge into battle. A pale-faced, brown-haired player pointed at the horn-blowing orc. He had horns, a strange feature that made them suspect he was the commander. The whole village quickly stirred. Orcs poured out from everywhere like a broken dam, each carrying sharp weapons. In an instant, the vanguard of giant, muscular orcs charged out of the camp gate, roaring like wild beasts. Surrounded on all sides, the players panicked and drew weapons to resist. One shouted desperately, "They're coming." Kim Minyi led the players in a counterattack. With fierce spirit, he shouted slogans and believed the number of orcs meant nothing. However, immediately after, a giant spiked mace was swung violently by an orc, smashing into the air with tremendous force. The powerful blow struck down, hitting an orc. Still, the monster's counterattack was closing in on Kim Minyi. Kim Minyi quickly dodged and counterattacked. He realized these orcs fought poorly, their strikes slow and predictable. An orc charged with weapon raised high, but Kim Minyi smiled confidently as his sword prepared to pierce the opponent. Not bad at all, Kim Minyi thought, fully confident after landing several hits. But suddenly his sword got stuck in the orc's body. Another orc rushed in, raising an iron mace high while Kim Minyi panicked. Unable to pull out his sword in time, Kim Minyi was struck hard. He was thrown backward forcefully, blood pouring from his mouth. The battle turned chaotic. Players began getting hit and falling while screaming. Blood stained the ground red as orcs attacked relentlessly. Amidst the chaos, desperate screams echoed. Some players still tried to fight back, but the situation was clearly tipping in favor of the bloodthirsty orc horde. A long-haired man fell to the ground, eyes filled with despair as he realized he had been killed by a common orc. He muttered hopelessly, "I died by an orc." The scene plunged into a mournful darkness. The man's death was a clear warning against complacency when facing the orcs. Black Scythe was crossing the red field, realizing no one was chasing him anymore. His eyes were sharp and full of calculation. An orc guard wearing a horned helmet was blowing a horn to warn. In Black Scythe's mind echoed the advice. Orc villages have very strong guards. It's best to stay away. The scenery remained blood-red. Black Scythe approached the group of orc guards, beginning to consider the risk if his sword got stuck, as their endurance was very high. A red-brown-haired young man in silver armor, one of the district chiefs, showed surprise and some mockery at the situation. This character would play a major role in upcoming events. Black Scythe charged straight between two giant orcs, both wielding fearsome weapons, a large axe and a chained mace. He spun in midair, preparing a deadly strike. Black Scythe attacked at extreme speed, delivering a powerful slash to the first orc before he could react. The light effects showed maximum force. The aftershock of the strike echoed as he landed, leaving red streaks in the air. The level gap between Black Scythe and the orcs became increasingly clear. As Black Scythe continued moving, the warning in his mind repeated. If the sword got stuck, pulling it out would be very difficult, especially since orcs could endure extremely stubbornly. Black Scythe swung a sharp horizontal slash, cutting off the body of a giant orc wielding dual weapons, blood erupting violently in an instant death. Another orc took a full slash through the chest, collapsing with wide eyes, unable to resist the overwhelming speed and power of Black Scythe. With a move spinning his scythe in an arc, Black Scythe took down another orc. Blood splattered everywhere, every strike was lethal. Black Scythe's face was calm, eyes cold, as if the entire battle was just a light practice for him. He walked through the blood-soaked scene, darkness covering the battlefield. That only applies to ordinary players, Black Scythe's thoughts echoed, emphasizing his superiority. Black Scythe stood before a dying orc's body, gently pulling his scythe out of the opponent's back. A clean death without any disturbance. He raised his scythe high in the blazing red sunset. The remaining orcs trembled as they looked at him, fearful as if facing the true death. Black Scythe turned to look at the fiery battlefield, calmly concluding, completing the main mission only took about an hour. The brutal efficiency made everything easy. In his mind appeared the image of Min Jury. I'm currently ranked first. Should I go help Min Jury? Black Scythe considered his next direction with a calm expression. In another area, Choi Mangi, a member of the Young Mountaineers Club, hurried to the leader Cho Young-ho. Young-ho, having just survived the battle, sighed in relief. I thought I was done for. Black Scythe easily cut down another orc wielding a large axe. His sharp attack left the enemy no chance to resist. A female player with black hair tied high, wearing tight black and purple clothes, was terrified by Black Scythe's overwhelming power. She trembled and begged to surrender. A young man in white armor, standing beside her, also trembled and flattered Black Scythe with words to beg for mercy. Black Scythe did not respond. His eyes were cold, still holding the bloodied scythe, advancing toward them without showing emotion. The atmosphere grew tense. The black-haired girl lowered her head even more, almost kneeling, while the white-armored young man forced a smile. A purple light flashed. A purple-haired angel with yellow eyes appeared angrily, shouting to forbid players from mentioning surrender. The purple-haired angel declared that anyone mentioning surrender would be executed immediately, without exception. The atmosphere grew heavy. The players fell silent. The black-haired girl and the white-armored young man were horrified, realizing they had nearly lost their lives just because of a poorly timed plea. Black Scythe turned and left without a word. The purple-haired angel remained standing, maintaining heavy pressure on the remaining players. The scene ended with Black Scythe's back as he walked away. Behind him, the group of players remained motionless, overwhelmed by the cruelty of both the game and the leading character. The deep red forest rustled in the wind, vines hanging down creating a gloomy scene, signaling a wild land full of danger. A member of the group spotted a village ahead. He pointed towards the watchtower, confirming that was the village they had seen before. Choi Mangi noticed a scout guarding the entrance. Cho Young-ho immediately commanded, "Circle around to the side." From above, an orc stood watch on the tower, observing the forest outside. He seemed unaware of the approaching group. Another member of the group found a gap in the wooden fence. This was the secret entry they needed. Choi Mangi cautiously peered through the gap, carefully observing the inside area. He confirmed no patrol teams were active nearby. The scene inside the village appeared. Huts made from animal bones, flickering torchlight, but absolutely no people in sight. The group took turns slipping through the gap to infiltrate the village. Choi Mangi led, followed by Cho Young-ho and 3 teammates. They gathered behind large wooden barrels. Cho Young-ho whispered, "Are they all inside the houses?" A member guessed, "Probably about 5 in each." Seeing the number of huts, Cho Young-ho frowned more than he expected. With no other choice, he suggested, "We will ambush them one house at a time." Choi Mangi looked back at Cho Young-ho, confirming the decision to act. He believed that with a surprise attack, they could easily take down 5 orcs. Cho Young-ho's group stood before a large hut. He signaled everyone to get ready, commanding, "Start with this one. Enter on my signal." All team members raised their weapons. Though tense, they united to act on the order. Young-ho, Mangi, and a teammate entered the first hut, their eyes serious, preparing for a fierce battle. The group stood before the wooden door, waiting for Cho Young-ho's signal. Tension filled the air. When the door opened, the team burst in with loud shouts, overwhelming their foes with speed. Immediately, they froze. Mangi and Young-ho showed surprise upon seeing not just 5 orcs inside, but many more than expected. Inside the hut, about 10 muscular orcs were resting. Each was armed with crude but deadly weapons. This was a seriously disadvantageous situation. A red-haired orc roared, standing up with a large mace in hand. The other orcs quickly reacted, ready to fight. A teammate panicked, worried about the numerical disadvantage. Cho Young-ho calmly directed, "Kill one first." The orcs charged fiercely. The red-armored young man ordered, "Everyone attack the one on the left." The group surged forward as commanded. The 2 leaders, the white-clad young man and the red-armored leader, attacked simultaneously, delivering the first strikes aimed at the large orc. The giant orc swung his weapon in counterattack. However, the players tried to maintain the initiative, continuously dodging. The orc leapt with tremendous power, applying great pressure. The group members attacked from multiple directions. The brown-scarfed man rushed from behind, delivering a strong blow to the orc's chest. Blood sprayed dark red. The orc collapsed before the group. Around them, the remaining orcs began to surround them, eyes filled with rage. A long-haired orc with an orange streak on his shoulder and blazing red eyes screamed furiously, signaling an impending fury. The atmosphere suddenly darkened. The fierce orc charged straight at the brown-scarfed man, eyes glowing red and claws sharp. With terrifying speed, the orc punched directly into the brown-scarfed man's chest, sending him flying backward. The blow was too fast and strong. Blood splattered everywhere. The brown-scarfed man had no time to react before receiving the monster's full brutal force. The whole group had just revived, each feeling dizzy. A player wearing leather armor and a red scarf screamed in terror upon opening his eyes, not yet understanding what was happening. A girl with long hair tied high, wearing shorts, looked panicked and squatted on the ground in confusion. Another player wearing a gray vest confirmed that he had been killed by a sword before and was now alive again. A young man in light armor looked around in confusion, realizing the number of survivors had significantly decreased. He stepped back as the angel announced the official mission of the round. A red-haired female angel wearing a white cloak and a crown appeared in midair. Her voice echoed, announcing the main and side missions full of pressure. A group of players, including the young man in light armor, a companion with black hair and white-black armpits, and several others, looked up attentively. They realized survival now depended on more than just luck. The formation began to split into smaller groups. Each person calculated their moves. Their faces were tense at the prospect of life and death. An armored orc guard wearing a horned helmet sounded a loud bugle. The sound was like a signal for the battle to begin. Two orcs wielding axes and chains rushed out from the village to attack the group of players. The battle erupted violently and fiercely. Choi Mangi, a member of the Young Mountaineers Club, attacked fiercely with his sword but still could not avoid being injured. He anxiously looked toward his teammates who were at a disadvantage. Cho Young-ho, leader of the Young Mountaineers Club, had just narrowly escaped death. Wearing red-black armor, he tried to stay calm and regroup the team, even though a larger and more ferocious orc horde stood before them. The hut door was torn open, and the group led by the young man in blue rushed out, swords ready to fight. Two players, the brown-haired young man in light armor and his blonde teammate, froze, stunned by the unbelievable scene before them. The group was surrounded by a large army of orcs. Their glowing red eyes posed a deadly threat. A trembling player whispered, "No." The young man in white armor and his teammate turned to look at the giant dark figures approaching. They estimated at least a dozen orcs were waiting ahead. The blonde player and his injured teammate leaned on each other. They were desperate, believing this was the end of their survival journey. The group leader, the young man in red-black armor, coldly ordered, "Draw your weapons." Those words made everyone grip their swords tightly. A white-armored warrior looked at the leader and whispered a farewell. "Captain, it's really over. It's been an honor fighting alongside you." Amid the orc encirclement, the brown-haired young man in blue, a normal player saved as Ryuman's best friend, asked the group, "Everyone, why haven't they killed us yet?" He continued, glancing at the monsters. "If you want to know why, look into their faces." In the tense atmosphere, the players gradually realized, in the orcs' eyes, there was not aggression but hesitation and strange caution. The orcs stood in rows, baring their teeth to mock the players with a challenging and contemptuous attitude. In response to the ridicule, the light-armored young man, a normal player, stepped forward, his face showing determination, no longer afraid as before. Choi Mangi angrily gritted his teeth, admitting the truth. The orcs were mocking them, treating them like trembling mice. Mangi continued to rally his teammates, questioning if they were just monkeys in the orcs' eyes, words that fueled the group's determination like pouring fuel on fire. He declared strongly, even if they died, they must take down at least one enemy. That would be a worthy death. His call awakened the whole group. The light-armored young man firmly gripped his sword and replied immediately, "Understood, Captain," his eyes no longer hesitant. The other members also regained their spirit. One apologized for being weak and declared they would follow the captain to the very end. The orcs continued laughing. Two of them hissed with contempt, seemingly not considering the group of players a threat at all. Mangi gave a brief instruction. When he signaled, the whole group would attack a single target together. The group responded in unison. "Understood, Captain." Their fighting spirit ignited. Two orc commanders, one bare-chested wearing a blue stone necklace, and one with a silver beard, laughed arrogantly, ready to order the attack. The silver-bearded one quietly said, "Let's go." Another group of orc warriors gathered behind the order. Among them was one with a red mark on his chest, and another with high-tied hair wearing fur clothes. The atmosphere preparing for the massacre was extremely tense. The entire orc horde suddenly retreated, turning and running toward the camp gate. The red armor leader group stood stunned in the yard, weapons ready but not yet engaged in battle. One of the players wearing blue Ryuwon looked toward the collapsing village gate. The orcs were pouring out. He exclaimed in surprise, "What the hell is going on?" The members of the red armor leader group gathered together. A light brown-haired player wearing purple asked, "Why are the orcs?" No one yet understood what was happening. The white-armored player raised his sword defensively. The red armor leader group began to be highly alert to the sudden change, their cautious eyes scanning the area. Two orc warriors, one wielding a sickle and the other a hammer, stared at the upright sword of the red armor leader. The situation was as tense as a drawn bowstring. The entire group of 6 players stood in battle formation surrounded by orcs. The red armor leader led, sword in hand, ready to command a counterattack. The red armor leader's face showed fierce determination. He smiled like a warrior and shouted loudly, "Only 8 left, move forward." A pitch-black frame appeared, signaling the temporary end of the confrontation, leaving a breathless feeling before the impending life-or-death battle. The battle ended, the group of players stood panting, exhausted but with excited eyes. The young man in blue, Ryu-1, smiled brightly, exclaiming in disbelief, "We won!" Another player added, eyes wide with amazement, "We defeated 8 orcs." Meanwhile, the red armor leader, the team leader, sat leaning on his sword, sighing wearily yet contentedly. The whole group had survived an unimaginable battle. After the fierce battle, the group was stunned to realize they had defeated 8 orcs. One of them could not contain his excitement and shouted, "Boss, we did it!" "No, it was you who did it." Another agreed, saying that without the leader, they would have given up long ago and been wiped out. They all knew this victory came from the resilient spirit that the red-armored leader had ignited. The boss smiled modestly, denying the praise. He affirmed that it was the group's will to survive and determination to fight that made the victory. Without them, he would have died in vain. He turned to ask about Mangi's condition, the teammate who had been seriously injured in the recent battle. His face showed worry mixed with sincere concern. Mangi, despite severe wounds, still tried to smile and reassure. "It hurts a bit, but I can bear it. I'm fine." He breathed heavily, still gripping the sword hilt tightly, showing strong will. The boss ordered Mangi to rest and not move. He also told the others to hide while he searched for an escape route for the group. One member worriedly asked if that was dangerous. The boss reassured them calmly, "Don't worry, just wait for me to come back." He turned and walked away among orc corpses and tired warriors. Everyone could only watch his familiar figure and anxiously remind, "Be careful, boss." On his scouting path, the boss sensed something strange. The atmosphere was unusually silent. So far, he hadn't seen a single orc. The boss approached the area of wooden barrels and red foliage, highly alert. Suddenly, something caught his eye. "What is that?" His eyes widened, unable to hide his astonishment. Cho Young-ho stepped forward, discovering many orc corpses scattered around, their bodies still bearing traces of scorched lightning. The scene stunned him. He muttered in panic, not understanding what had just happened. The entire area seemed to have undergone a massacre by powerful magic. Cho Young-ho stood in the middle of the battlefield, shaken as he looked around at the dead bodies. He whispered, "Who did this?" Then his gaze met a figure standing amid the corpses, a person wearing a black cloak, calm amidst the chaotic scene. When the person turned around, Cho Young-ho recognized him. It was Black Scythe, the famously powerful figure. Meanwhile, Black Scythe was also surprised to learn that others had entered the village earlier. Cho Young-ho was stunned upon hearing the name Black Scythe. That nickname was very famous. He confirmed in his mind Cho Young-ho was his own name. From afar, other survivors also saw the scene. One exclaimed in amazement, "Is that Cho Young-ho, the mercenary king?" revealing his illustrious past in the player world.